guys, welcome to Cult Film Interview, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, we find out what happens if the Cold War wasn't so cold. Because we're talking about Threads. So let's start the show. Hey guys, thanks for joining the cult. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes and leave us a review. If you do, you will get a shout out at the end of the show. Then when you're done with that,
head over.
Yeah, then when you're done with that, head over to cultfilminreview.com, pick up a t-shirt, check out some videos, or head over to our YouTube page, check out some videos there, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do whatever feels right. You know. As always, I'm sorry. Actually, I forgot. No, not as always yet. But May 10th, Buffalo 66, Phoenix Film Bar. Be there. They can get tickets where, Chris?
Thefilmbarphx.com.
That is correct. As always, I am joined by Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Wilbrick.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, hey, what's up?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, on mic.
And Michael Salustio.
Hello, everybody.
Tonight we're talking about Threads. It was directed by Mick Jackson, was written by Barry Hines, came out in 1984, had a budget of £400,000, and currently sits at a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. This was Kyle's pick. Kyle, why'd you pick such an uplifting film as Threads?
I picked this, so I came across this movie from my brother Ryan. Me and him were talking about, if you guys remember, there's an American version, which is called The Day After. And me and him remembered watching that movie a bunch when we were kids. And he added this to Plex and told me, dude, you got to check this one out. It's like The Day After, but about 1,000 times more depressing. And I was like, I was kind of interested to see it. And it deals with the subject matter, which, I find equally terrifying, which is like nuclear war. And so it was just purely curiosity, because I went into it wanting to just kind of compare it to The Day After. And what I got was an incredibly sad and somber film. And I thought it would be interesting to have a conversation about. So that's why I picked it.
Had anyone heard or seen of this film beforehand, Chris?
Anyone, Chris? Yeah, I had never heard of this before.
Wow.
I had never heard of it before. And I had to keep asking Kyle what it was about. Like, when he's like, oh, we're doing Threads. And I'm like, what's Threads about? I thought it was going to be more of like an action film.
Fucking Schwarzenegger shows up with a fucking nuclear bomb strapped to his chest.
Maybe something a little bit more low budget than that, but but yeah, I thought maybe like some kind of action sci-fi movie. And then you said no, it's about nuclear war and like what happens when a small town that befalls upon them.
Yeah.
So no, I that's all I knew.
What about you, Mike?
No, I had never heard of this film. And Chris, I'm laughing so much because, like, it's exactly what I thought when he was like, Threads. I was like, this has got to be like a 90s action film, like, starring like Tupac Shakur or something like that. Like, I thought it was going to be like Colors. And it wasn't at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard of this film was when somebody after Deep Blue Sea was like, what's the next movie? And Kyle went, Threads, it's on the Plex. And I said, okay. And that was the first time I've ever heard of it. And, read the synopsis and was expecting, somewhat of more of an action type movie than what I got.
Well, the synopsis specifically says documentary style.
Yeah.
I know.
None of us thought to do that.
Yeah.
Immediately we were like, Threads, we know what type of film this is.
I thought
we're just going to go off the title
but I thought
alone.
there'd be something else in there. You know what I mean? Like, not just fucking brutal. Like, I don't know, drawn out this is what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. For that, we should probably get to the plot. So, time for plots with Mike.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to know what it was like to survive a nuclear holocaust?
Never.
Have you ever wanted to know what it was like to watch your family slowly wither away?
Never. I never want to see that.
You never wanted to be crippled by the reality that you can never escape the horrible, horrible humanity that has befallen a war-torn area?
Never.
don't know why this is funny.
Well, then you wouldn't have liked this film. 'Cause that is all this fucking movie is about. That's it. Like, that's the plot. Like, I can't really explain. I mean, yeah, we can say, like, okay, there's a girl named Ruth.
Yeah.
You kind of follow her die at some point. Like, really?
Follow her
It's all
slow
about
death.
just a fucking... there's a nuclear war between, obviously, America and Russia. This small town in Britain is just like, well, this doesn't really, like, involve us. We're fine.
Yeah.
No big deal. One day they decide, fucking, we're going to lose our shit. They start, like, launching nuclear weapons, and a few of them drop on this tiny little town.
Mhm.
Immediately, people are burned to death. And then that's only, like, the first 20 minutes of the film, because then it's like, let's talk about all the people that are, like, you know, in the radiation zone. Let's see what their lives are like. And you just watch what happens. And none of it is good. It ends in a very realistic fashion. I don't even think I'm spoiling it for anybody. It's about a bomb going off and you being next to it. And that's it.
But you having to live through it. That's the big thing.
The story is living as far as you can through it.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
Because everyone dies in this.
Dude, for real. I know that's part of that's I guess part of my problem too, like personal problem I have with like stories like this.
Not Hollywood enough for you?
No, yeah, because for me it's like I'm just like shoot me. Like, cool, I'm cool with it. Like, and you know what I mean? Watching what they go through, it's like
I don't know. I mean, if you're in that situation,
Well,
is
yeah,
it like
I mean-
your instinct to have the will to live, like to always try to survive?
Oh no! Don't get me. Yeah,
No,
that's. I mean, I am not. That just because I boil down the plot to what it. Let's just be honest. What it actually is.
Yeah.
Like, does not mean that I don't think that this film is like a good film. Like it's captivating.
Yeah.
To watch it. It sounds like it's just gonna be a fucking drag, but like there are things that I'd like to talk about. I'm getting way into it.
Yeah.
well, let's
Too
take a break,
early.
and then when we come back, we'll talk more about Threads. And we're back. We're talking about Threads. This is Kyle's pick. 1984, I believe, is when this movie came out. And that's like right in the middle of Cold War.
The tail end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Right in the
Cold
mi-
War.
Right in the middle of the tail end is what I meant.
Yeah.
The middle.
We're in like the like if
This is
you're in the middle of the
well,
tail.
Well, because what at this point, 84, Rocky 4 came out, right?
This is how
Yeah,
you base how he knows.
This is how he knows history. History. Wait, when did Rocky?
Was this Rocky 4?
When did Rocky beat the Soviet Union?
Because I know that's definitely during the Cold War.
Movie histories.
When did this alternate reality that is
Yes, there
this
was
movie,
obviously tension between the
where
United
Rocky
States and
doesn't
Russia.
win the fight?
Yes.
This is what happens when Rocky doesn't win the
This is
fight.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
Rocky. It's
Yeah.
actually Rocky 5.
Rocky 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Alternate history that was changed by Sarah Connor and her soon-to-be-born son John Connor.
It's a great movie and how it should have happened. Like you find out that Rocky 4 existed in the same world as the Terminator that
Yeah.
exists in the same world as Threads.
And all because Sarah Connor came back.
And that's what we're talking about when we come back. No, man. Yeah.
Out of control tonight. So yeah, this movie Threads. Let's get into it, man. It's for me. This one is a little. I don't want to say all over the place, but it's hard. It was just hard for me to follow with the whole everything that's just going on in this thing. There's just a whole bunch going on.
Yeah.
I have to be, right up front, dude. It took me 3 times to get through the movie. Like, and that's not. I'm not saying anything negative about the movie. I'm just saying, I felt like it went on for so long, and it was so draining in a sense that it took that long for me to like process it and take it all in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, 'cause, well, so much of like the first fucking 30, 40 minutes of the movie, the front of the movie is literally you just getting kind of fed the news of what's going on between America and Russia through like background noise.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think that throws this film off is because they tried to incorporate documentary style, like all this, anything that has to do with like the plot, I guess, of our main character. It is like cut when you're like think it's going to go somewhere to like feed us some statistics about, UK's response and their protocols and all the shit that's in place to deal with the nuclear strike, which I thought actually ended up kind of working a little bit for me the first time I watched this movie, because I was seeing all this like, okay, they're prepared. They've got plans. They've got reserves. They've got fuel. And then like when the bomb drops, like, oh, that shit's out the fucking door there.
Later.
No. See ya.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I thought this is going to sound so weird, but the first 40 minutes is, I think, what we're all talking about here before the bomb drops.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I kind of felt like I was watching, like a military strategy game on, like, the Atari. Like, and I mean that because it's like, it has, the way it like tells the story, like there's no color to it whatsoever.
No.
Like they're not trying to make it nice or fancy. It just gets directly to the point. It's like, a dragon has taken over your kingdom. Go kill it.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like that's what it's telling
Well, there's
you.
a narrator, so
Yeah,
the
and
narrator
that's what
gives
we're
it the
talking about.
documentary vibe for sure. And the way it's shot is it does feel like a TV camera at the time, like a 16 millimeter TV camera. So it does have that, like, I almost was like, yeah, it has like a Cannibal Holocaust vibe to it. It's got like this gritty film,
Yes.
like, very dark, very contrasty, like kind of look to gray, like colorless, and it just right away kind of sets you up for like a bleak, what you feel is like impending doom, as these people go on, they're trying to kind of be like cool about what's happening, ignoring the news, not thinking it's a big deal. Like behind the scenes, though, like there's people that know some shit's about to go down, so you start getting that feeling.
Oh yeah.
I like that they set you up with these characters. First, Ruth, and like the fact that she gets pregnant unexpectedly, and her lover. You get that story, but then you get the people who are like designated to be like the emergency in charge people if some shit goes down.
Yeah.
You get that perspective kind of coming in as well. And you just know something's going to happen. You just don't know when.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I ask a question? Did I read it right that this is a made-for-TV movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was made for the BBC.
Yeah.
It's like, man. Can I just say? I thought it was like, fuck, man, they were way ahead of TV before we were.
Man.
I'm like, shit, this thing came out in 1984.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
Yeah, this is a really funny. There's a really funny story I read. The director was saying like it used to be it was common practice, that after your BBC special that you filmed aired, you would get a couple phone calls. Congratulations, great job. I saw the film's great. He said that after this one ended, it was just dead silent. His phone never rang, and he realized later that people were just like in shock and just were processing what they just saw. And it wasn't until like later on down the road he started getting like more feedback about how well it was done and stuff.
But like, I'm also thinking like, yeah, I mean, because that's exactly what I thought,
yeah.
right? But like, somebody had to watch it beforehand and say, yeah, we put this on the TV. Let's put this on the TV.
No, I think this was the reason they put this on TV is because it is such like a cautionary tale. Like it's like, look, guys, like we're gonna try to create a real, like what we feel would be the real scenario if some shit were to go down. Like we're gonna try to show you what that chaos and fear would look like, and it's important, like that a society understand that this is like a real threat, and this is really what it would look like if we were in the scenario.
The most brutal, like high school fucking
PSA shit, dude.
ever.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's a PSA.
It's just like you're watching people from drugs wither away.
Can I tell you though?
And like it just gets a coffin shot, and you just watch them decay. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's
that's your
also
life.
that's also part of the problem that I had with it. Is that it also does feel like a PSA. So as far as that goes, as far as like entertainment value goes in a film, like I struggled with this one.
I don't think this film was designed to ever entertain anyone at all.
It was,
But
This
that's what
film is a cautionary tale. Like
But that's what it is
that's
as
why
far
it
as, like,
exists.
like anything like getting any sort of enjoyment out of it or anything that like I enjoy about film. It's hard for me with this. Like,
And it's supposed to be hard for you because they want to scare the shit out of you so that you don't think that's okay.
I don't know. I don't think that what this film lacks though is like I don't know if that I would say scared the shit out of me. I wouldn't say that. Bored the shit out of me, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
This movie did not make you think, boy, I hope this never fucking happens.
No, I mean, dude, like I was gonna say before we got into the break, before we were getting into stuff, was like, it was like, yeah, no, I would have been fucking dead already. Like, I would have been.
You wouldn't have put yourself through such misery.
Yeah, for what?
Well, you
To
don't
live like these
I don't
fucking
know.
kings?
I don't
Like,
know.
hell no.
We're watching from the outside, so it's kind of like hard to say what you would do in that scenario. But I think that's the frightening part is that what they show you is they show you people who continue to try to have the will to live even though they're decaying. Like they really put you in a position where it's like I felt like I was getting radiation poisoning from watching this fucking movie just because when you know what I mean. They really show you all these different angles.
I mean, yeah, and we gotta let's talk about some of these angles, like just so that the audience gets an idea if you haven't seen it. Like there is a legit shot of just like a woman looking over the wasteland that is like this radiation poisoned area, and there's a woman holding a dead baby.
Yeah,
that is like you can see it's just like a carcass.
Yeah.
And she's just looking up and she won't let it go.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. Like, if I saw this on NBC, I'd be like calling people up. Like, look, I'm like all for kids like seeing shit, but like this was a bit intense, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, don't forget. I should mention, the day after was also a made for TV that came out a year earlier than this one. However, that one definitely takes more of the like story driven route,
Right.
and the aftermath I don't think is nearly as gory.
This is
and this is
There
just,
is like I don't think there's a lot of violence in this, like gore,
No.
but like the ones that they do, they play it off real bad. Like it feels
It's
real.
almost like not even. It's not like what you would think of gore, like an arm missing or whatever. It's like
It's
like a
like
charcoal
skeletons.
body.
Yeah.
It's like these really grim, gruesome looking like scenarios with fire and
Yes.
you know what I mean, and just destruction. It's
because
not.
it looks like B footage. It looks like B-roll from like actual like war
Yeah,
footage.
it
Is what it
does.
looks like.
That's what it is. Like it looks real to me.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm. That's a great example that you said earlier. That it's shot like a documentary almost. Like it's supposed to be a war.
yeah,
Like it's trying to explain to you, hey, this is what's going to happen if a bomb hits.
yeah,
Mhm.
But like in the most gruesome and realistic way possible.
Yeah.
Like
right. It's amazing how, but yeah, like you said, like how gruesome they did go with like the shots and even like the cerebral kind of way that they edited certain things and like, the way the sound was done in this film. Like I just feel like it was almost meant to like induce like a kind of sickness or illness or something while you watched it, just like you come away from it feeling like that left something on you.
I mean, instantly after I watched this movie, I thought this is what inspired Max Brooks for World War Z.
you think?
I think somewhat. I think it had like if he's seen it before. I mean, he's very into military stuff, but like that's almost like the same vibe I got of like how that story's told in that book is like similar to how this movie kind of plays out.
yeah. I definitely see that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like Chris was just saying about like the way it left you. I remember the first time I watched this movie, it was funny. I was like, all right, Friday night, got nothing going on, at the house to myself. I'm gonna watch this movie that Ryan's been telling me to check out. And I remember like I ordered myself a pizza and shit. I don't know, like I'm like watching it and the pizza's just going cold in front of me and I'm just like staring at it like, God damn it,
No
what am I
appetite.
fucking watching right now? It's just like emotionally
Well,
for
that's-
me, it emotionally fucking like pulls it out of you.
I guess that's another thing that's for me at least, and again, my taste in movies is that like it's a soul sucker for fucking nearly 2 hours. And that's just like, I don't know.
Well, I always like movies that can make me feel something emotionally. Like, yeah, I'll forgive like a lot of things, but if you can like actually pull some real like genuine sadness or whatever it may be, I think that raises a film to a much higher degree in my mind. So this movie did that.
I mean, it just goes shitty, shitty situation after shitty situation for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, well, you kind of know what you're in for, I think, once that bomb, like once you know the bomb is going to drop. And then, I think, though, I haven't seen a lot of movies that are based on like this subject. So I was looking to see what does that look like when that bomb goes off, like how do you see it from your town or whatever.
Yeah.
And the way they depicted it, like for 84, like I felt like it felt very realistic as to like you would look up and you would see this huge mushroom cloud and it wouldn't immediately hit you, but it suddenly the wind would pick up and then shit would just start getting destroyed and then things would catch on fire. You know what I mean? Just like the progression of like scientifically how this would work and what this would look like.
Yeah, I like the way they shot the actual. If I'm going to praise the special effects for how they shot the one that actually drops in Sheffield, and the mom is like standing by the window, and then the sound effect cue with it. It's like the screeching sound, and it just goes like black, white, negative almost, like so fucking
everything's
intense.
so bright.
Yeah.
I like the guy on the shitter. That was my favorite part. That made me laugh.
That part made me laugh. I was like, that would probably be me. I'd probably be taking a shit while this
they
happens.
got one little nugget of comedy in there.
And then you think to yourself, but how many other people? So I'm in good company.
Yeah.
One of these guys is like a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's.
Well, I kind of feel like we should focus just a little bit more on like Ruth's story because we discussed like the lead up to the actual bomb being dropped is a little dry and a little slow, but I think it definitely serves a great purpose in driving home the overall message because they do a really good job, I feel like, of getting us acquainted with this character and like even dealing with the seemingly innocuous dealings of life, which is like the parents meeting each other. Like that took an important moment in the film for them to like to get more humanity into these characters, and I liked that they did that.
I'll tell you what, these 1984 abstinence films, they're fucking brutal, dude.
And that's what happens when you have sex.
Yeah, a nuclear bomb.
That's how this movie ended. All because of Ruth. All because of Ruth.
Oh, man. No, I just think that whole story just raised the stakes for the character. Like, like not only does she have to survive through this fucking nuclear holocaust, nuclear winter, but she's also pregnant and about to have a child, and like you're also wondering like what effects does this have on the child?
Definitely gonna give birth to the Hills Has Eyes,
Well, that's what you're thinking as an audience member. Like, what? How is this kid even going to be alive? Mm-hmm. Like, how could she even survive through all this?
Once it goes into that part, that's when I just started relating it to the same situations that they have in Mars and fucking Total Recall.
Oh, with this low oxygen?
Yeah, I'm like, the radiation's getting them. They're all going to be deformed. Like, that's where I thought it was going to go with this movie.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It just went more realistic and sad.
Like,
not fun.
I was like, oh, at least we'll get to see some cool makeup.
It's like,
nope.
So you don't,
yeah, you did.
Nope.
You don't grow 3 breasts, actually.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
You just wither and die.
You suffer.
You're just born with cancer.
Yeah. It's not like it's not like the Simpsons and the fish with 3 eyes. That doesn't happen in this film. Nope. It's just radiation. All your teeth fall out. Your gums are bleeding.
So
why you die?
Like they get so realistic to the point where even like the conversations that are being had especially by like some of the leaders in the community, they're in the underground, the basement of, I guess.
Yeah, they're the temporary government.
Yeah,
and they're under the town hall or some shit like that. In some basement down there.
And they're all like in there rationing out food by like how much does a person actually need to eat to survive each day. And
yeah, that part was like sad.
They're trapped in there, and it just like kind of shows their dynamic too, as far as like how black and white they have to be. Like, well, most of them are gonna die anyways, so we just need to do this or that, and it's just so like cut and dry. But it's like, yes, that's exactly what would happen if like society was devastated. You know, like what else are you gonna fucking do?
That's the thing, man. Like this, I have to commend the shit out of this movie for it. Like they go behind the scenes, like of things that you didn't think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they're just talking about like, what do you think the mayor's going through? What do you think he's like? You know, you think it's easy for him? Like it just keeps going on. They talk about like the cops, they talk about the doctors. It's like, and it's all presented in that raw, like almost like educational way.
Yeah.
Like since doctors don't have enough resources, they can't possibly do this.
It's like
so this is what's gonna happen.
It's like watching a fucked up episode of Blue Planet or some shit.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, and they even go to show like the people who are desperate and looting just to get food and being shot by the police because they can't keep law and order without doing like resorting to like mass violence, you know, and like basically starving people and rationing out food to keep them working to like try to rebuild society. It's just like you said, behind the scenes look at every angle that you could possibly think of if that shit were to go down.
Yeah, what's cool is like the filmmaker, if you look at like the credits, the amount of people that they like consulted with on this shit is fucking insane. They consulted with experts in just about every single field that would be related to this government, you know, and science and all these things. And actually one of them was who's the host of that's
Please don't say Jeopardy.
No, so they consulted Alex Trebek. He said, "What is a nuclear bomb?"
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
No,
who's the professor? He was the host of the
Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell.
into the. It's a science show, dude.
Wendy
Cosmos
Williams.
like
Cosmos. Yeah, it was the original guy.
It's Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan, yeah, like he was one of the people who consulted on this shit too. It's pretty cool, like, and that's why I think those scenes feel so fucking real, is because they did so much homework.
Yeah, because science is brutal as fuck.
Well,
yeah, I mean, and it shows you every step of the way, up to 10 years, I believe it goes, right? Or is it more than that?
It goes to 14 is where
it's like
it
14 years, and it's like it really describes like how. I guess they interject it with like the typing on the screen, you know, the text on the screen that kind of gives you a little bit more exposition about
gives you the
what's
death
happened.
toll about every good 30 minutes.
And what condition the Earth is in at that point, you know, it's like.
Well, that was the funny thing when I was watching it this time too. I was just like, when it flashed to like 10 years, I was like, well, come on, they could have. You could have started cleaning up, and then I remind myself, I'm like, oh no, wait, this happened on the entire planet.
Yeah.
This isn't just London, and the rest of the world's like, peace, I'm out, not helping that shit.
What is weird to me is how it's 14 years later and the machines still haven't gotten to there yet.
There's nobody operate the machines, man.
The machines haven't. Well, the machines are the one that set off the bombs.
Yeah, machines didn't plan on not having
Yeah, but
a
they
mechanic
aren't built yet.
No, the machines build themselves. It's Skynet,
Oh
bro.
my God, dude, this is 1985 though.
Skynet.
Yeah, Sarah Connor just barely beat them once.
Who's doing this? A Mac 2? What's Apple 2 doing this? A Commodore 64? Is it taking over the Earth?
Television.
I'm sooner than we thought. That's what we're talking about. The timeline screwed up. Timeline's screwed up.
It's like
this is the third plot. This is the plot to the new movie.
It's Terminator. Pre-Terminator.
New one. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the terrors of nuclear war. Oh, thanks, Chris.
I ruined that intro.
I ruined that.
Wow.
We'll never replicate that.
Wow, Chris. Wow. Cool. We'll wait for when you're ready then, I guess. You let me know.
So aggressive. Aggressive Cody tonight.
And we're back. We're talking about Threads. Woo! Smiles for everyone.
Holy smiles.
Holy smiles. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever smiled once
No.
while watching this film.
There's no point where you're smiling.
I did actually.
I chuckle with the toilet dude.
Toilet dude, I laughed, and the old lady repeating the television, the tape.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, E.T. burning.
E.T. burning was the one that was. Did you guys not catch that
I
shit?
didn't see E.T. go down.
There was like
a
a
shot of
moment.
E.T..
Yeah, there was like a. There's a moment like when the bomb's going off and it's showing like the blast and the fire like burning everything, and it's cutting to like there's like I think there's like a cat that's like it looks like it's dying in the street, and then it cuts to like it looks
the one
like
that's
skeletons, and then it seriously cuts to like it looks like the alien from Meatballs 2 you showed me the other day, just getting like blasted like with fire. It's like, why did
Probably
it cut
was.
to E.T.?
Honestly, I thought for a second, I was like, oh, E.T. came out in like what, 83? Are you throwing down the gauntlet? Ben?
What if they were like, oh no, dude, like we're investing in Meatballs 2, so they actually did it with the Meatballs 2 alien instead.
It looked like the Mac and Meme
They can't
alien.
They couldn't afford.
They couldn't get the ET. They couldn't
Turd-like
afford
is
it.
what we're
Really
saying.
couldn't get
Hey,
the-
we only got like 400,000 pounds. We can't really get me the Meatballs 2 alien.
I want to give him a message. I must have ET. Just give him, he won't know.
It's cool you brought up the budget. Like they did a pretty fucking solid job
Right,
for
dude?
400,000
I was like,
pounds.
is there?
God
I'm
damn.
just like, was there just rubble
Does
everywhere in their neighborhood?
Does anybody know how much 400,000 pounds is in dollars?
No.
No.
Okay, good. I don't know if that's a lot.
I don't know.
I really
At the
just wanna say
time,
I
though,
don't know.
Is
You
there
have to
is
find
there
out in
is-
1984
Yeah, is there
what that was.
1984 conversion?
I don't know.
I'm gonna Google 1984.
It'd be very, very weird if it was like 400,000 pounds, man. They only did it for that much,
Right
and then like
now-
you turn out it's like that was like
Right now, a
fucking
pound is
$6
more,
billion
right?
dollars.
Yeah, it's $523,000.
That's a good price, man.
There
now
is-
that we got onto the Yankee monetary system,
Yeah.
I'm like amazed.
Next, we're going to start using inches.
I do want to get on to what I wanted to praise the most with this movie, and I think I don't think there's one fucking bad actor in this movie.
I don't think you're
Dude.
allowed to be a bad actor in
Yeah,
this
I
kind
mean,
of movie.
They're goddamn
Dude,
You couldn't pull that
solid
off if you were a bad actor.
throughout. I mean,
It's so, and what's crazy is like, there's like a huge chunk of them that I think are just fucking extras from this town.
Have to
just
be.
real people.
Yeah.
Just fucking troll 2 in it, but just really, but this town is just inherently amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's a prestigious theater in this town. Everyone's an
Oh,
actor.
everyone here actually works
Like
for the theater.
The guy trying to explain to the small town of Troll 2 versus this film Troll 2 is just like, and then like they're like vegetarian demons essentially, and they're like, this sounds like fun, and then this guy trying to explain it, and then just everyone dies. Sure.
I got it.
I guess.
And you were hit by radiation. Oh, radiation. Okay.
Dude,
What do you
yeah,
do?
fuck.
By day, I sell insurance, and then I study acting by night.
Now, I
Been studying
want you to
classes for
think-
20 years.
How old's your daughter? Now imagine she's gone forever, and you've seen every moment of it. It's just
Use
like,
it.
He just terrorized the town with
Yeah.
just like, none of this stuff happened to me, but fucking shit.
Feels like it did.
Dude, after they left, they all saw the Mothman.
And a bridge collapsed.
Holy shit.
Anyways, okay.
Crazy.
No,
Yeah.
I agree, man. The acting in this film is top notch. I think probably my favorite performances though come from that the emergency,
Yeah, definitely.
the emergency parliament or
The head
government.
guy. The head guy.
The basement people.
The
I
head
felt
guy's
so bad for the head guy
amazing.
because he's trying to tell his wife like it'll be fine, go home, and he's
Dude, he knew.
packing her fucking photos like,
He knew.
oh shit.
He's like, later, Betty.
Yep.
I mean, even down to just the people that were like hiding behind a bunch of rubble, trying to survive.
Mhm.
You know, like no water, nothing, barfing on each other, just like unable to control their body fluids because the radiation's fucking with them so hard. Like
What as I call it,
even-
a Saturday night.
Get that radiation poisoning.
So I call
Even
a nice
that-
bottle of cab.
That Jesus.
Go on.
Fucking A.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
not a bad. You can't perform bad in this because
Even like the grandma who like soils herself while they're like trapped in the basement, like felt so
She's so
bad.
embarrassed
Like,
about
oh
it.
my god.
Everybody's peeing their pants in this movie.
I mean, you'll say the
Bomb goes
acting was
off.
good, but the writing was really good in this too. Like to give those real true to life scenarios, things that people would actually go through and be afraid to go through.
Well, like I said earlier, like to me, when I was watching this, I was like, man, this would have been if they would have took this story structure and put this to like the World War Z movie. The movie would have been good.
Yeah. Well, if the movie had just followed any semblance of the book,
Yeah,
then it would have
I
been
love how
way
this
better.
show keeps going back to how we could have fixed World War Z.
Threads taught us a lot about World War Z and where they went wrong.
can I be honest with you guys? Threads taught me about the real threat. That's the Z threat. Okay? Zombie threat. All right? That's the real thing. What do you think they're showing us Walking Dead now for? Huh?
Yeah, they gotta prep us. They gotta get us. They gotta get us fucking ready. You gotta get us learning how to fashion baseball bats and nails and everything.
Sorry, have you ever heard of the Umbrella Corporation? Anyone here? No? Huh? Look it up. Google it.
I thought that was just in a game.
What freaked me out about this movie, though,
Going back to it.
was the fact that, like, after this bomb had dropped, what would be, like, your first instinct if you survived? Get the fuck out of this town, right? And they wouldn't let people out of the town.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what my first instinct would be. Honestly, I don't. Ooh.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm glad Chris brought up, because you're sitting there, you're saying, well, I'll just be dead. But like, think about it. This movie puts you in that spot where you actually have to kind of think about that. Like, what would you? The bomb drops and you just happen to live through it. What is your first reaction?
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a story.
If I got a gun, I feel like that's where you take it, because your chances of surviving.
Well, after seeing this movie, I feel like I would go that direction a little bit more.
I want to tell you a story. One day I was chopping very little tiny cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
With a very sharp knife. And the knife went right into my finger.
There it went.
The first thought I thought was, well, maybe it's not that bad. And then, like blood just started gushing out of it.
Yeah.
And I think about it, and I'm just like, that's probably what everyone thinks when something really traumatic happens.
That's the whole.
Okay, we can. It's fine. Nope.
No, dude. I have a gnarly scar on my thumb. When I worked in Bevmo, I wasn't paying attention. I went over the top of my thumb with a box cutter. And I looked at it, and all I saw was a red line. And I was like, well, that's not bad. And then I bent my thumb, and just, like, blood came over. I'm like, well, that's terrible.
That's what this whole movie is, just over and over again. Because that's the first 40 minutes, too. Everyone's like,
that's what I'm saying.
Nothing's going to happen.
So
nothing's going to happen, and then bombs drop, and everyone's like, well, we're still going to live through this. And then,
But I think that's the natural reaction. Your natural reaction is like, well, we're fucking dead. Like, I think you think that you might be like that because you're watching it from the outside in.
Yes.
But
I
if you were there,
this.
I think absolutely you're like, okay. I got kids. I got to protect my kids.
Your
I can protect my
instinct to
kids.
try to survive.
I think you go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But when the T-100 shows up.
Well, the T-100 is a different story. If they show up, it's over.
Fucking.
Always, anytime a good conversation starts.
Yeah, he's got to bring it crashing down with a Terminator reference to James Cameron.
Ugh.
Yeah, I just
tell you how you do a nuclear movie, right?
This
You throw robots in it.
No, this. Anyhow, what were you saying, Mike?
Or Chris was saying.
I think it was done.
Chris?
I don't know. I don't know where you were. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that was great.
Okay.
I don't remember where you left off.
Yeah, what were you saying? Oh, about how people's natural reaction is to assume it's
Yes.
not as bad as you think it is.
Oh yeah, I think that's just normal human nature. Like even in the face of like, oh my God, there's dead people all around me. I feel like it's not like, well, I'm just gonna kill myself. I feel like it's more like, how the fuck do I get out of here?
I even feel like if like if an asteroid hit the Earth and like
that's super
it
fun.
got dark, I'd be like, I'll probably be better tomorrow.
How about that super fun part of the movie where they're like, yeah, 17 million people died, and well, they couldn't expend
30 million.
They couldn't expend the energy to dig ditches to bury the bodies, and they're just showing you dead bodies all over the street. Because they needed to give them bread.
But it's like
for
that's
their ditch
something.
digging.
Think about that. That had me thinking. I'm like, that's something I never would have thought of. Like,
what do you do?
Well,
with all
why
of them?
can't we bury them? It's like, well, that takes energy. Energy costs food.
Yes.
Food is like the
all
only
that
source
shit was
of
fucked
fuel.
up. This is the worst part of this film.
Yeah.
Is like that. It's always like, oh man, this is terrible, and then that narrator's voice starts, and you're just like, oh fuck, what are you gonna tell me?
Yeah, right.
You're like, so if you thought that going to the hospitals was okay.
Yeah, nothing works.
They
there.
have no tools, so they're not even doctors anymore. They're just fucking holding you together with napkins. It's just like, fuck.
Ooh.
The hospitals are out.
Let me tell you, like the way they showed those scenes, like of people trying to go get help and like funneling in for like aid and stuff. It was like the most horrifying. Like it looked like what I would imagine like the Holocaust, was like, or like an Auschwitz, like just mass people suffering, like the most like gruesome, experiences, and some people trying to help, and You know what I mean? It's just like this is like I couldn't help but think, yes, this is exactly what would happen to people.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody would become sick and not know what to do, and there'd be some people that were okay, and it would just, turn into complete chaos and like disease-ridden, society.
Yeah, and the movie doesn't I feel like the movie just gets worse because like when they decide they're going to migrate out of this town and go to a neighboring town that wasn't hit as hard, it's just like them walking through the rolling hills that are frozen because it's become a nuclear winter and shit. And like she's like drinking muddy water out of like a frozen over thing she found. It's just like, God damn it. Like, and it doesn't even get better when they get to the town because it's like, all right, we've got you guys placed in these homes. And the fucking old man chases them out with a goddamn shotgun.
Yeah, right. And they're like, okay, now we're off on our own. Then that's when she goes into labor not long after that, right?
Well, she runs into her fiance's best friend.
That's right.
Like,
he's all fucked up.
Yeah, he looks fucking crazy. And they find like a dead lamb, and they're like, maybe it died of cold. And she's like, lambs don't die of cold.
Hopefully there's not radiation in this thing.
Yeah, they're like, we could probably taste it. She's just like, nah, probably not.
Yeah.
That's the brutalness of this. And even the part where she's like crying to her parents and saying how she wants an abortion because the kid's gonna turn out ugly and deformed, And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, how dark can this movie go? Like, there was definitely a point where I was like, this is like such a bleak film. It's like right up there with like a Lars von Trier or like a Solo or like, you know what I mean? It kind of has this like cloud that hangs over it, like this nuclear winter, that hangs over it.
I do want to we should like focus on like the last chunk of the film, basically starting from when she goes into labor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because like even when that started happening, that was like, God damn it. Don't do it. Don't push the fucking kid out. And she's like a dog's fucking barking at her and she's in a fucking pile of hay giving birth by herself. Like,
That's how it go down.
Well, this dog wants to, like, if it could just get off this rope, would like rip them both to pieces, and that's the kind of great tension that they do have in this film, though, is that those layers, of like how primitive this has become and how survival of the fittest has become, like out in this wasteland for just regular people.
It does start to give you a little shred of hope, right? Because like they're farming the first crop, and it's like, well, there's some seeds that they got, and
not enough sunlight, though.
Yeah,
and that's something you don't think about, but that's real. If the sky was constantly dark, like you wouldn't be able to grow food, and then we would all be fucked.
So I
Then
remember
the machines use us for batteries.
going back to the fucking machines.
The machines use us for batteries.
Cody, what were you going? Or not Cody?
And we're stuck in the Matrix.
So I had read this article a while back.
Thanks,
it was
Cody.
about that I really liked. It was about this. I wish I remember the author's name, but he was talking about how it would be, in his opinion, it was unlikely that a like Walking Dead apocalypse where people, or like The Road, where people just collapse and society collapses and everybody's just out for themselves and they're just eating themselves or whatever the fuck goes on. In these most movies, that would normally not happen because like we've had like Black Plague and we've had other things where a whole bunch of people have died, and normally humanity just bands together and kind of just barrels through it, right? And I remember thinking like, that makes me feel good. This movie changed my fucking mind. I was just like, no, he's wrong, man. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Completely fucking wrong.
If you lost everything, he wasn't talking about it. He didn't think about internet and shit going like, it's like the electricity. This can't even use a light bulb in this fucking world. Like, it was so bad where I was just like, no, people are going to kill themselves.
I'm literally thinking about stepping over all that rubble and stepping on a nail and getting tetanus and dying in like a couple days. You know what I mean? Like that shit could happen in a
real
second.
slow way to die in this world. Jesus.
Yeah,
Sure. That was like
that
a super
easy.
interesting
You step
thing.
in the wrong fucking place.
He's like rolling in radiation water. Like, that's how to do it.
Survives it.
Hey,
survives the radiation water.
Clearly, you can
Tetanus
live
gets 'em.
15 years on radiation poisoning, like direct radiation poisoning, because that's how long it took for Ruth to die in this movie.
Well, Ruth died like 10 years, and then she was like, Mike made a funny joke because she gets cataracts because like when the clouds finally part, there's just like there's
So
really
much UV rays.
coming down.
Yeah, everybody's dead.
Like he's like oh, nuclear bomb turns people into White Walkers, huh?
She does look like a White Walker.
Game of Thrones reference, Chris.
Got
Watch it.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom.
A lot of references tonight. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe
Drop
Who
a
knows?
bomb.
Maybe yours could
Yes.
be next.
Maybe
Who knows?
not.
Maybe we could talk about the film. I don't know.
I mean, we have talked a lot about the film. Here's one of the things that I've decided with it that I think is kind of weird. This is a weird one in the fact of where I didn't feel like I necessarily needed to watch it, where I felt like there was parts where I was watching it, but I knew I was fading off from what's going on, but I was still watching it because I was listening to it. There was parts of it where I felt like, especially in the first 40 minutes, where it almost feels like a podcast or it's playing out like some news radio.
Like a
Yeah.
serial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. To where, and I don't know if that also kind of like hurt my viewing pleasure with it, where I was just like, oh, I can just kind of, the drama on the screen really is not, you know what I mean, that captivating as far as I'm just trying to process all the information that they're literally giving me because it's, you
I'm
know.
just surprised. How is the drama not captivating?
I don't know. I
How
just,
does this not like
because I guess,
spark your interest in the
Like,
because I
slightest?
guess I know it's just going to be brutal agony from here on out.
Like, isn't
dude.
that
Like,
great acting though? Like, isn't that like? I mean,
like I said, the acting's solid, but I mean, as far as like a movie to watch, man, it's just like, hey, let's watch these people agonizingly die slowly.
I want to say one thing too. Like, when I saw this film, it shook me in a way that kind of like Cannibal Holocaust did. But I remember, like, my feeling about this film was I was really disturbed just based on how real it all was. As where Cannibal Holocaust, if I felt like it was schlock.
Mhm.
Right? Like, okay, yeah, you killed the fucking turtle. We get it. Like, you're trying to make this gruesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is presented in such a weird way that, and I really have to say, I think it's because of the performances that make it feel just so fucking real
Yeah.
that you're just like, oh man, like I'm
Yeah.
angry, but like I'm more angry at like the idea that you're presenting to me because
Yeah.
I know that it's true.
I
Like,
think
I
we-
know this is probably what happens in real life.
I have to give a lot of credit though to the visual storytelling aspect of this movie. Like I think a lot of the sets and the shots and the way they like every shot has like this fog, this dust, like when they speak it comes off their breath. Like there's some real attention to detail when it comes to setting like and set design and whatever they had to do to create that world.
Yeah.
Like that is hard. Like, how do you create an apocalyptic, like, fucking nuclear wasteland?
what,
that
they
and
did
the
it.
budget too.
Yeah, it's
Thinking about
incredible,
the budget again.
actually.
Like,
And I was very impressed with the cinematography and the way that they composed a lot of these shots. Like, I thought they were super artistic and powerful. And
Yeah.
for a TV movie, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like next level TV movie shit. Like,
I'll be
this is-
honest with you, I had no idea because I didn't do any research on this film beforehand, and I'll be honest with you, I had no idea this was a TV movie. So that blows my mind.
it doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it at all.
does.
I agree with that.
The fact I think you're right. I think they did shoot it on 16 millimeter to give it that documentary vibe, and it felt like that. I'm happy you brought up Cannibal Holocaust because I never really put those two together. But looking at them both side by side, I'm like, okay, I can. Yeah, it has the same feeling. The way the camera moves, it feels like I'm watching. The whole time I watched this, I felt like I was just watching. Like, yep, no, this is an actual documentary. This actually happened.
Yeah.
This happened somewhere, and we bounced back.
Well, I mean, he
Like,
had,
you know what I
and-
mean?
And to say that he's not, I mean, it did happen. We have to imagine that a lot of the information he got was from the survivors of
Sure.
you know, the first to bomb.
The
you know?
only two.
Yeah, like so I mean he had to have read those stories about what the bomb did to Japan,
Right.
like and all of its people. Like he had, and there were films that dealt with it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like isn't Tora Tora like that was before
That's about Pearl Harbor attack.
it was that Pearl. Fuck man,
Yeah,
I don't
Tora-
know.
And what?
What's the there's a now let's just cut this one out because I have no idea.
There's a couple.
I want to
of
say the
great-
title. I have no fucking idea
Yeah.
what
well,
it is.
there was like 100 years after this, Charlton Heston's ship
Oh my
crashes
God.
God damn it.
We get that you don't want to talk about this, but like stop purposely derailing shit.
I'm
Anyways,
not
no-
purposely derailing. I am easily connecting all of the movies that have nuclear devastation that somehow come back and change it in a sci-fi way.
Whatever film it was.
Yeah.
Like it just the way he describes this is just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Made me lose my fucking track. Charlton Heston.
Comes back.
What did you think about? What did you think about that scene? Like where when they start to get electricity back, and all the kids are sitting around watching that kids' TV show.
Oh man!
And it's talking about what skeletons. The
It's like
skeleton
learning
of this thing, the
words
skeleton of
and
that thing.
pictures is the name of the show.
And they kept repeating the same words over and over again. And like, I guess it has to be understood that language has kind of deteriorated because there's just not as much of a use for it. So now it's starting to kind of get back to that place.
Well, they don't. I took it as they don't have the resources to pay a teacher.
Yeah.
Because that's one more person that has to go work and get food.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I looked at it. So the only way that they were teaching these kids was by throwing them up in front of the only educational fucking VHS or Betamax they found and just play it. And I think, like, you see it, like, I think the next scene, like, when the daughter of Ruth is, like meets up with those two boys, like, they're speaking like in simplistic English.
God bless the captions or the subtitles in
I
this
know.
movie.
Right?
I would not have known half of the shit they said in this.
It's
Especially
just
at the end
broken
because it's
language.
just so it's just so, like you said, broken. It's just like he's just saying like simple words. Even when Ruth dies and her daughter is like trying to wake her up, it's like, Ruth, work, up,
Exactly.
and it just sounds so, I don't know, like just childish and just fucking sad.
I gotta say, it's a real like attention to detail, man.
Yeah,
It is.
Because I'm just like, oh my god, this is like because that's the only words that exist anymore. The ones that are on VHS tapes. They don't have anybody. Like, just like a
Skeleton, work, cat.
chicken.
You're not making any sense, Mary.
Even just the looks on those kids' faces as they watched it, like how
dude.
entranced they were by it.
Those
like,
are the happy kids.
And then there's the shot of the old woman that's repeating every word.
Yeah, because she grew up with it too.
Yes, Cody. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I got. See,
Boom.
he liked the fucking film.
I knew. She grew up with it too. Then it led to.
So what about? Can we talk about the end real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. So the end is Ruth dies on the field, and Jane is left to, I guess, her own devices. She ends up running off with these two boys. They steal some shit. One of the kids gets blown to pieces, like as they're running away. They both go back and fight over bread. And I guess I assume they have sex because then it flashes forward and she's pregnant and she's going into labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has the baby, and the baby's stillborn, and like right before she can react to, I guess, a scream or crying or something, it just freeze frames and then goes into silent credits. No music, nothing.
It's like
just
the end of Sopranos for a second, right there. It's just like
Just cuts to
fucking
black.
I don't know. Yeah. I almost don't feel like we needed that part of the movie. I feel like almost Ruth could have died on the field, and that
yeah,
could have been
well,
the end of the film.
He needs closure.
I feel like that would have been like the cap to the fucking story.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like that last bit with Jane is almost just like
Shock
that's
value?
just
I
like
don't know.
now you're just really fucking torturing us.
That's what I mean. Like, there's the thing with this movie is, man, this is like, for me at least, I could have done with like an hour 30 on this one. Like,
I don't know, guys.
as far as like of seeing, like, it was just like at some point it's just like, okay, dude, what's the next brutal fucking shit I'm gonna see? Like, what's the next horrific image?
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of felt like it really drove it home even further for me.
that final bit.
Because it's like oh, you think the society getting a little bit better? Is it getting a little bit better? Fuck you. like they don't make it. Like it might be the only rise in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Is
agree
that
with that.
brief moment where you think, okay,
Well,
but
because it shows you the scenes
but
of
the
like
baby lived.
it shows you scenes of people mining and like
Yeah.
so you would think like, okay,
Oh, there's
we're picking up,
machinery.
we're
coming back.
we hear Johnny Be Good playing out of
Yeah.
what I can imagine is a rubble pub, you know?
Yeah, that's
and,
a song that keeps popping up.
yeah,
throughout
Johnny
the
Be
movie.
Good is the soundtrack of fucking nuclear war.
Oh gosh.
And then it just ends it with her giving birth to this clearly deformed stillborn child. Like,
It's just,
Trying to be good.
which led me to believe that, like, I guess they're insinuating, and yeah, it might not be the babies that survived the blast, but definitely not the babies that survived that one. Like, that next generation's fucked, so
Yeah.
we're not going anywhere. Like, that's what it felt like it was saying.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, like life will eventually just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking nuts.
The fun part is not accepting the reality.
Yeah, it's true.
Because this guy's dodged every.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about that, Cody? I just think fucking Terminator, bro.
RoboCop, anyone?
What do you say we rate this mammer jammer? Kyle, how many smiles
It's actually a good one.
are we giving Threads?
How many smiles? Shit, I didn't really think about this. Hold on. I don't want to use smiles.
How many uplifting Motivational
Cody's
quotes.
sad face.
how many motivational quotes do you want to give this movie?
How many inspirational?
How many hang in there baby posters do you want to read this? What do you think? What's a
How many showbiz
what's the most depressing imagery that we can use?
A fucking nuclear warhead.
Oh, mushroom cloud.
Jesus.
You want to rate a mushroom clouds?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Can we do it something lighthearted? Like I kind of feel like
Kidding me?
I don't want to be like fucking
Thank
yeah,
you.
bombed. It's about
Let's
fucking
do
death. People actually
let-
died, by the way.
Well, is anybody even gonna know the reference if we do the hang in there baby poster?
I don't know because we're not making the rating boxes. So,
Well, we should start because I'm gonna start putting them back on the website. So
Oh.
all right, we'll have to catch
Like
up. I'm
that.
about 100
because no one's
behind.
making anymore. Oh yeah, because guess what? Now you're fucking. Now you got laundry duty,
Guess-
bitch.
guess what? Just started uploading them right now.
It seems we're about 100 short here.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, feeling a little light. Feeling light this month.
Yeah, I got about
Is there-
100 to catch up on.
Is your Google Drive not going to the graphics either? Is yours not going to the graphics either?
Mine's working fine.
So
Doesn't
weird.
doesn't look like it.
So weird. Not enough in here.
I need what I don't know, man. What do you want to? Man,
Hugs? How many hugs?
rats.
Fucking hey, yo.
Stillborn infants.
No, it's.
Oh, how many stillborns do we want to give it? That's
Jesus
real fun.
fucking
Like
Christ.
char-grilled rats is fine with me. Like
Mushroom
something like
clouds, man. It's gotta
Dude,
be.
man, stop. Sounds like we're glorifying the bomb, man.
That is
What
true.
he's all about.
Chris,
Yeah,
why do you
what
gotta
the
go so fucking
fuck?
dark?
This was all out, man.
burnt corpses. I
But
don't
the
know.
enjoyment
like,
isn't just watching people die slowly from the bomb.
How about
Yeah,
Calm down.
dying cats in the
melting
street?
faces.
I would say my.
Oh, burning ET.
yeah.
I guess.
Jesus Christ, hair, Willenbrecht. What the
Oh my
the
god.
bomb? Would you want to watch the bomb?
I think he said hair, not air. Wittenbeck, hair. Like, because he's got a lot of hair. It's a good joke.
His hair. You get it?
Hair
His-
Willenbrecht.
Did you think hair too?
How about like?
Did you think hair, Cody?
Out.
Did you?
I didn't know what he
You
meant.
meant air.
But hair is funnier to me. Old hair Willem.
Old mop top Willenbrecht over here.
Oh man, and all with his hair and shit.
How about like the nuclear sign?
Takes it
Did
in
we
such
use
an
that
innocent
already?
way. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude,
I don't think we used that
Fuck
before.
you, dude.
Let's do smiley faces.
Okay.
Just went
All
in
right.
the roundabout a circle we
We might have used smiley faces.
Smiley faces? No, man, that's fucking stupid. 25 minutes later.
Dude, how do you?
Faces.
Dude, there's nothing to pick.
How about
Sad grains of rice.
yeah, pieces of bread?
Yeah, pieces of
Okay, I'm cool with pieces of bread.
pieces of bread.
God.
How about threads of yarn?
Okay, hold on. Threads of yarn.
Pieces of bread.
Pieces of bread. Okay.
Spider butts.
Yeah, spider butts.
Spider butt.
No, we'll do pieces of bread. That's fine.
It's a lot
All
of
right,
Cans
let's
of
get a
food.
good intro.
All right, guys. Let me say we rate this mammer jammer. Kyle, what are we rating it?
We're gonna rate it pieces of bread.
Pieces of bread. We got to be strong enough to rate it.
500 calories.
500 calories.
500 calories,
What is
guys.
that? I'll go first.
Good.
Man, this is a 2 pieces of bread for me. Not because it's like a terrible film. I don't want that to be the thing. It is a good, well done film. Dude, this is just like not what I want to watch, dude. Not my thing. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh yeah. And if this is a cult film and you're like, dude, you know what I love watching over and over again? Fucking Threads. Like, I don't know if I want to hang out. Like, I don't know if I want to hang out. Like, so I don't know, man. Like this is to me, it's just like I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm glad I got to watch it and be just like, yeah, that would suck. But it's not like something I'm gonna be like, dude, stop what you're doing. Watch Threads, because I'm already depressed enough, man. It's a 2 for me.
God damn.
Chris.
Oh God, dare I say, pleasantly surprised with this movie.
Oh man, I'm gonna look at him. Number one, I've never seen more of an uplifting film. Damn, Chris.
I really came away with like a new perspective on life. No, but for real, I kind of did. I don't actually know how many movies out there exist about the nuclear effects on the world or on towns.
I went through about 20.
That's all the ones that I said. This movie is really about the Cold War.
Well,
it's the Matrix.
Regardless, I feel like this one is probably the most visceral and the most realistic of the bunch. Even without seeing any of those other ones, I feel like I was given the fucking mother load of nuclear films and like what actually happens to people. And it puts, the perspective where it puts you in every perspective of this like tragedy. I don't know if the other films out there really, could capture it like this, but I was super impressed because I did come away from it affected and like disgusted, scared, definitely seeing some parallels to, our current climate, which makes it a little more scary. And it's just, overall just gets you thinking about like, why can't we just be fucking nice to each other? And why does this shit have to happen?
Right?
God, Chris finds the good in everything.
No, I agree with him on that.
Like it puts you in that frame of mind where you're like, look how horrible this is, and how could you want this for any human being?
It's really like it's really like nobody wins.
Nobody wins. No one wins. It's not like nobody should have to go through it, and unfortunately, this is a reality in our world. And it smacks you in the face with this movie. I'm giving this 4.5 because I think it's such an effective film. I agree with Cody. Not going to rush out to see it again, but I think there's a lot more to even uncover in this movie that I didn't pick up.
Yeah.
It took me, like I said, 3 attempts to get through the whole thing, but that's because it's a heavy-ass movie, and you have to be in the mood for a heavy-ass movie and something that's going to kind of mind-fuck you. 4.5.
It's definitely one that you throw on, during the party. Just to get things popping.
Next Halloween party, Threads.
Yeah, you want people.
What's this film?
You want people quoting along.
Just wait.
It's quotable.
It's a zombie film, right? Yep, it's a zombie film.
P.S. I totally disagree with the title of this movie. It should not have been called Threads. I think that does it injustice in some way.
I think, but I mean, it's supposed to mean the beginning, right? Like
I know there's a metaphor there, but like I don't think it really. I think nuclear holocaust is what this movie should have been called.
Really, because that gives me a different idea what this film's about.
Yeah. It just stays in like the clothes range though. He's like, I think it should have been called Full Suit. Not just. It's more than a thread. It's like a full suit.
Guys. Face Off.
Threads is too soft.
Face Off.
It's too soft for this.
I think that kind of helps add to the weight of the film having such like a seemingly innocuous title.
I thought they should call this movie, well, this is really gonna fucking suck if you live through this.
Yeah.
.com.
.com boom.
Mike.
I'm giving this a 5.
There he is.
Guys, this film was great.
I knew it. I knew you guys would love this.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, like the first 40 minutes, I was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is a snooze. Like, I don't know. But then I realized, like, what they were trying to do. Like, hey, get used to it. Get used to it. Like, yeah, just take care of this puppy for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just try not to feel for it. Like, that's exactly what it does. And then it just hits you with that reality. And I like the way that it presents things educationally. I don't know if all the facts are true. I don't know anything. So this is not like I'm taking it. It's like this is science or something.
So you're saying this is 100% science? Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
But I the way they presented it feels very, very, very real. And then all of the way the performances, I think, really just drive it home. Like, I feel all the pain that's going on, probably, and a lot of it has to do because of that heavy front story that I've gotten used to these people, and they're going through such normal everyday things that people go through. It's like their lives are halted. Like, from an artistic standpoint, I thought that was amazing. that like it does just there's one part of this film, it's another. And then yeah, it's super depressing. Don't get me wrong, but I do want to disagree that I probably may never see this film again. But I also think that it's not important that a film needs to be rewatchable. Like Taxi Driver is a film that I think is amazing, but that's another one where it's like, oof, man, I don't know, once or twice for me.
Yeah.
Like it puts me in a mood, it puts me in a bad thing, but I'm glad that I watched it because it can draw that kind of emotion out. I think it's better that it might be one of those films that I only maybe see once because it affected me that much.
Mhm.
So I said a 5. Yeah, that's what I said.
Kyle.
I'm going to come in at a 5 on this one as well.
Knew it.
And I'm going to jump off of what you were talking about, Mike, which is like, I think last week you were saying with Jubilee, yeah, I probably didn't need to watch it the third time. And
Yeah.
like, this was my second time watching it. And I thought that when I was done, I was just like, I really didn't need to watch this again. Like, I feel like I remembered everything from the first go around. I probably could have had this conversation just fine. Yeah, this movie definitely affected me the first time I watched it. It, to Chris's point, it really, I think, oh man, it really gives you a sense of like your life as it is right now and how shitty things could get, you know? And the way that the filmmaker presents everything in this documentary style with all the you know, the facts and the notes and all this stuff, they do everything in their power to make this film feel as real as possible. Like I had to convince myself, I'm like, I'm just watching a movie. Like that's how well it was done. It felt like, yeah, I'm watching footage from like a town that got hit with a fucking nuclear weapon. Like that's how fucking dark it is. And they go so far to really like make you emotionally just get drained and exhausted from this film. And I personally like movies that do that can pull some sort of emotion out of you while watching it, because I think that's the mark of great filmmaking. I won't watch this movie again probably if I can help it, but I'm also not going to deter people from checking it out, because I think, you know, especially given like, here's the thing, like the thing I think is really interesting about like the Cold War is it gave us films like this. There's a couple of other films like this that focus on this, and I think it's at least an interesting thing to watch, to put what you might have heard of into some sort of reality or some semblance of perspective, you know, like what you might assume would happen. And then seeing this kind of drives home like, well, this might be pretty fucking accurate as to what would happen if like this ever actually happened. So for that, I give it a 5 smiley faces.
I thought it was crumbs of bread or bread.
Oh, breadcrumbs. It was
Kind of
breadcrumbs.
like, it was so deep, and then you said that, and it's just like, wait, not even what we agreed on.
Yep.
Like, put
Pieces of
such
bread.
a weird cap on
Pieces
that.
of bread.
And that's why we have to love our brothers. So I give it 5 smiley faces.
It was good to see how the smiley face would have played out, though,
Well,
given the existential review.
Now you gotta do your whole review over.
Yeah, I'll just do the end. So 5 pieces of bread.
That is 5 for Kyle.
Did we not have any reviews to read tonight?
We don't. Chris,
Okay.
people don't fucking like us.
God.
Geez, so down on us.
aggressive tonight.
Fucking
Cody
Christ.
is so aggressive.
Don't get this guy in the gym.
Yeah.
Fucker deadlifted
We
one
all
fucking
hate
pound.
humanity
He's
now, so we're
angry.
all just really angry
Yeah,
after
dude.
watching Threads.
Thanks. Love
Way to
Threads.
go, way to go. Fucking why?
Fantastic.
Does
Hey,
it
man.
matter? We're all gonna die.
does
Hey
it
man,
matter?
some
Do you have any
films
reviews to read?
should push you. They should push you
Do you
somewhere.
reviews read? Does it matter when the world fucking blows up, Chris?
I don't
Does it
know.
fucking matter? Will
This
your
movie
reviews
did-
matter
this
then?
Can I just say this movie did scare me?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Scared me too.
Like, it was
it's
legit.
fucking
frightening.
I watched this and I thought, yep, no.
Yeah.
If this happens, I better be vaporized the second that thing goes up.
Yeah.
I want to be right underneath it
Like
I
because
said,
I just don't want
as
to
I was
deal.
watching it,
I
I
want to deal.
It's like the bomb's dropping, everybody's running, and I'm running towards it. Like
You're like, where
You're
over?
wrong.
It's
This is
over
way
here. Yeah, it's landing at the munitions plant.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run there now.
I want to be.
I think I can make it.
I want to be Sarah Connor at the fence. I want to be Sarah Connor at the fence, bro.
Oh man, I don't know.
Oh, my
This
God,
feels bad
right?
because I feel like I don't know.
All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Do us a favor, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. We will give you a shout out at the end of a show, the show,
Wow.
a show too. Why not?
Any show.
Any
you
show.
pick. You pick.
it. You pick which show you want us to give you a shout out on. No, we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show. Then head over to cultfilmandreview.com. Check out all the cool stuff there, like some videos and t-shirts, and pick those up, put those on, and show your friends.
Pick those up and put those on. Show your friends.
Sounded like a
Then
Sounds
make
like
sure.
Piranha song or something for a second.
It did.
Put them up and put them on. Put them on and show your friends. Put them up and put them on. Up and on and show your friends. Cult Film in Review. Cult Film in Review.
Then make sure you follow us on social media. You can you can follow us at Cult Film and Review on Facebook. You can follow us at Cult Film and Review on Instagram, at Cult Film _review on Twitter. You can follow Kyle
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris Army
Cold Film _Chris on Instagram.
You can follow Mike
At Mike Salucio on Twitter.
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram and Snapchat. That's our show for this week. Remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next time.